Political talk here, and we sort of have breaking news. Biden is to announce his VP by August 1st, 2020. So the Biden VPs have intensified, and we're coming down to the last couple of days before Joe Biden makes a formal announcement of who his VP will be. So right now in this video, we're going to look at who are the people that are the most likely to become VP, and we're going to look at the possible running mates and talk about their upsides and their downsides. So we're going to look at that, and yeah. So, who will be Joe Biden's running mate? So, we're going to answer a couple questions here, and before we begin, I just want to note that the VP is chosen by Biden, along with a senior campaign team, along with a vetting team who's made up of many Delaware politicians this time around, including former Senator Chris Dodd and incumbent U.S. House Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester. So, we're going to start by looking at these three topics. So these are the three topics we're going to answer about who are the people that most fit these categories. So the top three most likely, so the most likely to get picked, the best pick that has, I think, would be the best pick for Biden on his ticket, and two wild card picks that are not too much of the favorites right now, but they would do very good on a ticket. So we're going to start with the top three most likely. So these are the most possible to happen. First of all, we have number 3 most likely, Representative Val Demings from the state of Florida. She's currently a representative from the state of Florida. She's African American, and she's a former police officer. So, where does this help Biden? First of all, African American support. That really is something that Joe Biden could perform a little better on, even though he's still doing very well with them. I think he just has to maybe push it up that little 1%, and that would be good for him. Next, the police officers. So, she's a former police officer. She was actually former Orlando police chief, and it would really help Biden on the ticket just because of how currently, I mean, a lot of the Republicans Republicans and Democrats, some of them are hesitating to vote for Joe Biden due to police movements, not by Joe Biden himself, but the Democratic Party as a whole. So it would definitely help. And you have a home field advantage in the state of Florida. The state of Florida is a state that Democrats think they have a bigger lock on, but I think inside they know that it's a lot closer than they might want it to be. So Val Demings would just put the final seal on the state of Florida and carry it for Joe Biden, so that's a great pick. Her drawbacks, I mean, the police thing could be used against her by the more progressive part of the Democratic Party. Other than that, she has very few scandals, but like if all the scandals that she does have, for the most part, it's with her time as police chief, so she'll be able to deal with that. So, Val Demings, third most likely representative from the state of Florida. Our number 2 pick is, for the most likely, is Senator Elizabeth Warren. So, Senator Elizabeth Warren, I think, was the third biggest candidate in the primaries. It's between her and Bloomberg, but, I mean, she's a very good debater. She knows how to debate very well. And her policies would bring and unite both the progressive base of the Democratic Party and the moderate base of the Democratic Party. So she will help Joe Biden and the Joe Biden ticket be very complete. And Elizabeth Warren is someone who's somewhat popular amongst Democrats, especially amongst suburban moms. I mean, I heard that a lot of the Hillary Clinton voters that were super strong, so mostly a lot of the suburban moms is the stereotype that a lot of people are putting on them, do like someone like Elizabeth Warren, so that might really help for the Democratic Party in solidifying the suburbs in times where the suburbs right now are a little bit edgy with the Democratic Party for certain aspects. And I honestly feel like Elizabeth Warren is a great candidate because of her progressive views and things like that. What might be her drawbacks? Some people might see her policies a little bit too progressive, but she's already started to pick up back and become more moderate for the ticket, supposedly. So another thing to note with Warren is that her support amongst progressives is not as high as it was maybe in 2016 or 2018, just because she just started to go a little bit more to the right to kind of appeal to the Biden campaign vetting team. So Elizabeth Warren is pretty likely. Now, she has one downside that a lot of the donors don't want her, so that might be the nail in the coffin for her. Nonetheless, Elizabeth Warren is a great candidate for VP. She probably will be the number 2 most likely pick. And who's the most likely? Well, no one less or no one more than Senator Kamala Harris from the state of California. So, since Joe Biden announced his campaign, everyone has been saying Kamala Harris would be a great running mate. the team has noticed that, and she's been vetted for a long time. She has a lot of big benefits. She appeals to African Americans. She appeals to Latinos, minorities in general. She's somewhat a moderate progressive. So she has sides of her which are very conservative, especially when it comes to crime. And when it comes to other issues, she's a lot more progressive. She is someone like that would unite the Democratic Party a little bit. Where would she not be liked? California. She's very unpopular in her home state. Nonetheless, nationwide, she had a very good campaign, and she could certainly help Joe Biden in the ticket. And even though if she's not on the ticket, she will still do a great job, because Kamala Harris is now becoming one of the signs and the rising stars of the Democratic Party. So Senator Kamala Harris at this time is the most likely. Now, there's one drawback to her. She has some scandals. First of all, you had a lot of the bad persecutions as Attorney General and just a district attorney in California. And then you also have the affair thing with a former San Francisco mayor that might come up. And the last thing is the debate. So in the first CNN debate, we saw that Kamala Harris completely destroyed Joe Biden, calling him a racist essentially. And that really might hurt, and as the Trump campaign could easily use that in an ad and stuff like that, which might damage a lot of the people's opinion of the ticket as a whole. So Kamala Harris, although she has some scandals and quite a lot compared to a lot of these other VP candidates, still she has very good support. So Kamala Harris is the most likely to be Joe Biden's VP. So now we're going to look at the top 2 wildcards in the search for who will be Joe Biden's running mate. So number 2 most likely, or actually number 2 wildcards. These are people that could be, but like it's not very obvious that they might be. So number 2 wildcard, I would say Representative Karen Bass. She is a Democrat from the state of California. She is African American. She has very good support amongst the Congressional Black Caucus. That's where she's a member of, and she has support amongst African Americans nationwide. Now, here's the thing, that she looks like a good candidate. There's a couple things that I will look back for her. First of all, she has said some things about Fidel Castro when he died, and it seemed like she was praising her, which might hurt the Democrats in the state of Florida. So if the Democrats are really focusing on the state of Florida, then Karen Bass might not go. But also, she's a little bit of an older candidate, so a lot of people want a younger candidate. But remember, in politics, most people are quite older than the average AOC or things like that. So right now, Karen Bass looks like a good candidate, but I mean, she has that one drawback. Nonetheless, she looks like a good candidate. Another thing that I forgot to mention with Harris, and in this case Karen Bass as well, she's from California. There's no regional advantage. You don't even know if she's going to do very well with the southern vote. She might, but remember, different populations are different everywhere where they live. And essentially, Karen Bass might bring the California stereotypes, along with Kamala Harris, to the ticket of being super liberal and things like that, which might hurt the moderate vote in areas like the Midwest. So, who's our number 1 wildcard? I would say it's Senator Tammy Duckworth from the state of Illinois. Senator Tammy Duckworth is a very interesting candidate. So she's a part of a minority. She's Asian American. I think I think she's Thai American, if I'm correct. And she has a very inspiring story. She was in the army. She served for a very long time, and she unfortunately had an accident, and now she has her legs amputated, so she's always on a wheelchair. So that might really go on and get some of the military vote. And she honestly is a very inspiring candidate, and she would do very well in the Midwest. She is from the state of Illinois, which, I mean, increasingly has been part of like the Midwest. I mean, and they have the same ideals as areas like the Rust Belt. And out of all the candidates that Biden chose for the vetting, or the ones I'm going to mention in this video, Tammy Duckworth is the one that mostly would appeal to the Midwest. She is a very good candidate in my opinion, and if Joe Biden picks her, that would be a great ticket. Is it very likely? At this point, probably not. He's leaning towards the 3 most likely, but I mean, it would be a good thing. And so that is Senator Tammy Duckworth, and we're going to go through my opinion, who is the best pick for Joe Biden at this point. At this point, I believe that the best pick for Joe Biden at this time is Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham from the state of New Mexico. So Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, she's a Latina. She's the only Latina governor in the nation at this time. And here's the thing. she would appeal to a very important group for Democrats, the Latino votes. Look, Michelle LUJAN GRISHAM, she is a very boring candidate, but she appeals to the Latinos. And I'm going to get into that later. But, I mean, if the Democrats start focusing too much on the African-American community, they're going to start losing Latino support. Which, I mean, you've seen it happen, and it's expected that the Republican Party will gain with Latino support. So, if Democrats do not focus on the Latinos soon, they will lose a lot of that support. So, Michelle LUJAN GRISHAM is a great candidate, because, first of all, she's Latina, and she does not have any scandals. Like, her biggest scandal recently was that she went and bought jewelry during the pandemic. Like, a really boring scandal. So, I mean, she's a pretty safe pick. And she would, like, get out the Latinos to vote. Could it be the same effect that Tim Kaine had in 2016? Maybe, but she would be a good pick. Would she be super exciting? Maybe not. But I think, generally speaking, she's just a safer candidate that the Republicans can't be using her, like, against the campaign of Joe Biden. So, Michelle LUJAN GRISHAM, in my opinion, the best pick for Joe Biden at this time. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. So, Joe Biden is to announce his VP, so, by August 1st. We should know by then. So, we're going to see who the question mark is going to be representing. So, the VP seats hasn't intensified, and we're still, all of us, scratching our heads, asking who will be Joe Biden's running mate. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please give it a huge thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and turn on post notifications to get notified when I post my next video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.